The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Salem Media of Hawaii.
Welcome to Generations Radio, where the focus is on our seniors and their families. We are here each Saturday afternoon from 5 until 6 p.m., bringing you resourceful information with our radio team of professionals in the field of aging. Stay with us for the next 1 hour as we explore different ways to make life more exciting and meaningful for our extraordinary seniors. Right here on AM 690 The Answer. And now, here is our host and the publisher of Generations Magazine, Percy Ihara.
Okay, welcome back to Generations Radio. I'm Percy Ihara here every Saturday and Sunday, along with my co-host, Melissa Mansfield. How are you, Melissa?
I'm well, thank you very much.
We had a great event today with our Generations Magazine partners, where we had about, 25 or 30 people there. Part of our magazine is we network within our professionals in the magazine. So we had a great event, and I learned a lot about homeopathic medicine, which was really interesting. So anyway, we want to get straight to our topic today. We're going to have Prosecutor Keith Kaneshiro on, and he's running again, and his elder abuse attorney, Mr. Scott Spallina. So welcome to you. Welcome, Keith, again.
Hi, Percy.
Thank you for coming on. So I know this is election time, and we've known each other for a long time, and thank you for being on a cover. Was it 3 or 4 years ago?
Yes.
One of my favorite covers was I liked that picture of you in the library standing like you were the guy.
That was an excellent picture. In fact, your photographer was great.
Yeah, Brian Suda. And actually, if you want to go back and read Keith's story, you can go to generations808.com, click on the issues tab, and it'll say past issues, and you'll see all the covers that we've done since the very first one we did in September 2010 with Kirk Matthews. So anyway, Keith, you're running again.
Yes.
And so 4 years, another 4 years?
It's a 4-year term.
4-year term.
And, and people ask me, why are you running again? And you must be crazy to take all the abuse that you have to go through and things like that. But I'm running because I have a great love for this community. And I'm a strong advocate for public safety. And I think we need to have a safe community. And I'm concerned about things going on, crimes occurring, and the criminal justice system. So I want to make sure we have things that's going to really maintain and ensure public safety.
Yeah, I mean, you've done a great job. I know we mentioned earlier getting beat up a little bit in the press out there, and I know you can't believe everything you read, and trust me, you cannot. But I know you've been taking a lot of abuse. But I know one of the biggest issues you talked about it. I was at your fundraiser last week about how you're close to your mom and how you're close to the community. Can you expound more on that?
Well, I was always close to my mom. In fact, my mom was the one who convinced me to go into law.
Oh, really?
She suggested that, and I decided, well, I'm going to go into law. And then she was a strong supporter. She helped me a lot, and especially the first campaign when I ran for prosecuting attorney. Her and her friends, because of her connections, she had a lot of friends, and they all helped me in the campaign. So it was like a family-run campaign, and she did a lot. And my father was there, always supporting me. So I was very close to them. But as a prosecuting attorney, when I was elected back in 1988, and for the 2 terms that I was there from 89 to 1996, I spent a lot of time on the job. I worked long hours, and I kind of neglected my parents because, I didn't see them as often. I try to make a point to see them whenever I could. And some of the things that I do, I can't talk about because it's confidential. So I can't talk too much about my parents about what I did. And my father was the one who always said, he reads the newspaper and he comes and he tells me, "Why did you do this? How come you're doing this?" I said,
I'm
"Don't
sure.
believe what you read." So I would try to explain to him. But in 1996, I decided not to run for a 3rd term. And I went into private practice. In a sense, it was a blessing in disguise. I left the office and I went into private practice. And I got to spend time with my parents, both my mom and my dad. And my mom got sick, so I spent a lot of time with her, taking her to the doctor's appointment, seeing her all the time when she was in a nursing home, spending every day with her at the nursing home, and seeing what she had to go through. And so I learned a lot about elders and medical care for elders. And after my mom passed away, then my dad got sick, so I took care of my dad. So during the time I was away from office, it was very good because I got very close to my parents again. And I saw a lot that needed to be done for the elders. That's why when I got elected again in 2010, one of my priorities was elder abuse. Because I saw what elders had to go through when they go to doctor's appointment, when they're not supported by their family and things like that. So I think it was very important that we take care of the elders, and law enforcement have a way to prevent people from taking advantage and exploiting elders.
Yeah, it's a growing problem, but you're very common, and we're seeing that today with all the baby boomers. I know Melissa sees it every day, where the baby boomers have to take time off from work, have to take parents to the doctor, the physical therapist, but it pick up the medications. It's a growing issue that we all are going to face. So I give you a lot of credit for taking that on. That's very difficult and very emotional and stressful.
It is very stressful because it's the parents involved, but it's something that had to be done, and it wasn't like I felt there was an obligation. It's something that I wanted to do. I wanted to give back to my parents, and because they took care of me, they supported me through growing up and going to college and going to law school, and it was my turn to support them when they needed that
Yeah,
care.
that's the growing census right now, to give back to parents.
That's for baby boomers. Now us baby boomers have millennials. Will that come through, Melissa?
Yes, sandwich generation. So
Yeah,
you're taking care of parents and children,
Yeah,
and taking care of yourself.
But the younger generation, I don't know if they're going to be able to take care of us. We're hopes, right, Scott? You have two girls.
Oh yeah, and my wife and I were part-time caregivers, and she was saying that we seem to be spending more time caring for her parents than caring for our own children because of just the sandwich generation of our parents living longer and therefore needing the care. And as you said before, it's the family caregiver that ends up doing the most care of the parents. And so you have these adult children caring for their parents, but also trying to squeeze time for their children as well, and then they don't find time for themselves.
Yeah. Now, Keith, I know you wanted one big topic we want to cover besides elder abuse and all the other things you're doing, the special projects. But when you brought this issue up to me at the campaign about the charter amendments, I had no clue what you were talking about. And then I'm seeing in the news there's 20 different amendments.
Yes,
Yes.
I know. I finally got the book, by the way. I know Pro City got like 3 weeks ago. I got mine last week, and 20 amendments. I mean, I was listening to the news last night how you better get there early. It was going to take a long time to go through the 20 amendments. But there's one in particular, the Charter Amendment 3. Can you explain that to us, please?
Charter Amendment 3 would give the prosecuting attorney budget autonomy in the sense that once the city council passes the budget of the prosecuting attorney's office, then that's the budget that we work with. And the executive or the mayors cannot interfere, cannot restrict the release of those monies that was already appropriated by the city council. When city council go through the budget, they balance the budget. So the whole thing about not releasing the funds to the prosecutor's office because we need to keep the budget balanced, it really doesn't apply because the city council has already budgeted and balanced the budget. Now, the key to this is way back when the prosecuting attorney was made an elected position. The reason it was made an elected position was to make it, the prosecuting attorney, independent from the mayor. Therefore, the mayor cannot interfere with the prosecuting attorney's decision. But this whole budget thing is an interference. How it currently is, where the mayor, we have to ask the mayor to release the money that's been appropriated to us, because the mayor can determine what money he wants to release, and that will impact my policies.
Sure.
And the mayor is really not my boss. My boss is the electorates, because they elect me. So I shouldn't have to answer to the mayor and what, getting funds released. For example, when someone leaves the office, there's a vacancy. That position has already been budgeted into the budget. The money is there. So I should not have to go to ask the mayor for approval to fill that position. I should just be able to fill that position. Sometimes there's a delay, and when there's a delay, we can't do things that we need to do. And that's why that
Politics.
that
Yes.
yeah.
Well, and
The
you
charter amendment is very important because it makes the prosecuting attorney independent again.
Well, and what Keith is not bringing up is that when he goes down to ask the city council for the budget, he goes down there with stats. He goes down with their personnel. I see the whole entourage he takes down there to convince them we need this money because we are doing X, Y, and Z. And so you have these city council people saying, okay, we agree with you. Here's the money because you're doing a good job or you're taking this initiative. And then for that money, then not to go into Keith's pocket, which he earned by proving with numbers and stats and that, but then to be handled by the mayor, it doesn't make sense. And so that's why our office is saying vote yes on Charter Amendment 3. Give the Office of the Prosecuting Attorney the independence that already the electorate has by saying you're allowed to vote. It's no longer appointed by the mayor. The prosecutor's voted by the people. Let that prosecutor take care of his budget then.
Very interesting. I mean, I don't follow politics that much, even though I have a relative as a senator, but it just dumbfounds me how this process works. I mean, I see this all the time where they've actually funded Kupuna Care bill, and I know when I believe it was Lingo was in office, she held back a certain amount of money.
Yes.
And we could not dumbfound why would you do that? So is it really just a budgeting the money?
Well, it's because the executive has that ability to release the money. That's their prerogative. But they should only retain the money and not release the money if there is a budget problem. There's not monies available. Like it didn't collect, the taxes were not, enough taxes were not collected. If everything is as normal, then it should be released. But because the executive has that prerogative, the governor and the mayor, they can restrict whatever funds is there and use it for their own purpose. And that shouldn't be the
No, I
case.
agree.
Yeah, absolutely. So vote yes on Charter Amendment number 3. So we're here with Keith Kaneshiro, running again for prosecuting attorney, and along with Scott Spallina, the elder abuse attorney in the prosecutor's office. So Keith, I know I was at your fundraiser last week, great event, and you were mentioning all these different projects which I was actually not aware of. I know you're involved with elder abuse, but let's start off with the newest one I've seen recently, the International Trafficking Summit that you went to. Can you kind of talk to us about that one?
Well, I saw that sex trafficking was a global problem. It affected all the countries, a lot of countries, and some of the people involved were from different countries, especially here in Hawaii. And to address the global problem, you need to have a global approach. And you cannot have a global approach without talking to the prosecutors from the other country. Therefore, I decided to host an international sex trafficking summit here in Hawaii with prosecutors from Asian countries. There were 6 Asian countries involved: Philippines, Thailand, South Korea, Japan, Taiwan, and the People's Republic of China. We also had a prosecutor from Canada and a prosecutor from Palau attend. They came here along and they met with district attorneys and prosecutors from the mainland cities such as Los Angeles, Boston, New York, Sacramento, Louisiana, Topeka, Kansas. And we all sat down together and decided, let's look at this sex trafficking problem, this global problem, and see how you folks handle it, how each one handle it in their jurisdiction. See if we can learn the different techniques and strategies, or see how we can help one another and how we can cooperate and share information. So when crime occurs here and the people committing crime occurs here, they go to the other countries. If we share the information to those countries, then they will know what to expect. And that's why we had the summit, for this international cooperation, for the international working together with different countries. And we had a 3-day conference summit here at the Sheraton Waikiki. It was an excellent summit. First time it was done on sex trafficking, and the information, publicity about this summit went out international, and all the papers, not all the papers, but papers throughout the world. I think there was about 20 something newspapers across not the country but the world that had talked about this summit, from New Zealand, from London, from Hong Kong. Papers carried the story about this summit, and I think it had a big impact, and it's good because now we can continue to work with the prosecutors from these different countries.
Yeah, it's great. Hawaii can always be a hub for these kind of international events. I mean, I went to the IUCN event, the environmental one, was a couple months ago. I mean, that was amazing. I mean, I spent about 4 hours at the exhibit hall, and I was just sat there walking around, like, amazing. Everything except for humans they were talking about. From the sky, the sky to the water, to had guys from the Congo plane. They had talked about NASA was there. I mean, all kind of exhibits were there about everything with the environment. So I'm glad to see that. But is that problem growing here in Hawaii?
Oh, the problem is growing throughout the country and throughout the world. We see women from the Asian countries working in the massage parlors here in Hawaii. We see women from China, from Korea working in massage parlors throughout the country, in New York, Los Angeles, and all those other cities. So there's a need to work with the prosecutors from those countries, because some of these women and some of the, I guess, the owners of the massage parlors, the owners of the of this operation, and the organization that back this prostitution activity come from these countries.
And it's important to point out that we're not going after the girls because oftentimes they're the victims. They're doing this because of duress or threats or violence. And so it's more the people running these establishments, the owners of these buildings. That's who the focus is on. And this one thing the summit did, because I went through the summit as well, is show the true price of these crimes. A lot of people think, oh, it's just like the old profession on consensual sex, all that kind of stuff. No, it's not. And I think a lot of misinformation is out there. And when you have a summit like this that brings it to the forefront, which actually has people thinking about it, experts talking about it, then you get to realize that this is a deep-seated problem that people are ignoring or just don't know about. And so the summit really brought to light, not just here in Hawaii with law enforcement, because law enforcement was at this thing as well, but just, again, people talking about this is the problem, and actually different countries acknowledging the problem. Countries that typically would not give out their dirty laundry were openly expressing this is what's going on in our country, and actually asking for help from other countries. And so I think this was a good bridge building between these different nations to handle this problem here.
Absolutely.
The goal of criminal activity is to make money, the bottom line.
Yeah.
So what's happening is you see trafficking not only of drugs or firearms, but trafficking of people. They're exploiting the people so they can make money. So what we're doing is we're going after the people who are exploiting other people who are profiting from the sex trafficking, and to shut down these organizations.
Yeah, I've seen more and more. Actually, I watch the Discovery Channel, all these other cable channels. I've noticed recently a number of shows were on that. Miami, Florida, all kind of places, Las Vegas. It's a growing, it's a big moneymaker, huh?
And it seems like it correlates together: sex, drugs, gambling, those type of.
Right.
Yeah, and because of the money it's making, which is making a lot of money, then it does bring out those other elements of organized crime. And unfortunately, that also brings out the violence in it, and then all the things that follow, whether it be illegal gambling, whether it be just the drugs, the guns involved. I mean, no good comes from it.
Yeah, it's absolutely true. So the other one, you've been on out there a lot, Keith, because I saw you one day on the news, and I haven't heard about this until I saw the news. And I was talking about the Family Justice Center that just opened up recently as well. Can you talk about that one?
Well, yeah, the Family Justice Center is a concept that it's used for the protection of victims of sex abuse, domestic violence, and sex trafficking. And what it is, well, let me tell you the genesis of this whole thing. As a young prosecutor, I prosecuted domestic violence cases. And a lot of the cases, majority of the domestic violence cases, the victims recant or refuse to cooperate after they make the initial charges. So we were stuck with difficult case because the victims were not cooperating. As a result, sometimes the jury did not like that, so they would acquit the defendants. What we found out, and through our experience, a lot of the victims recant or don't cooperate because of their situation.
Sure.
They're in an environment of fear. They're intimidated. They have no means to support themselves. If the spouse kick them out of the house, the abusing spouse. So that's why they would recant and not cooperate with us. What I saw across the country, there were family justice centers. There was consolidating services for domestic violence victims. When I came to office in 2010, I said, we got to do more than just give them services, because even if they get services, they still have to go back to the environment of violence, and they're not going to testify. So we got to make sure they come forward and testify. We got to help them. So the way to do this was, in addition to the consolidation of services, we have a secure residential housing for these victims, where they can come and live and don't have to worry about their financial, don't have to worry about rent, don't have to worry about paying for food. They can get clothes for them. The whole apartment will be furnished. Find a place for them where they can stay, and we can also give them services. So we went about looking for a place for these women. Initially, we got money from the city council to rent a place, but with the discussion we had with Chairman Martin, Ernest Martin, who's the chair of city council, and the chair of the budget committee, Ann Kobayashi, they felt that, well, instead of worrying about renting a place and have to raise money to pay the lease rent every year, why don't the city just buy a piece of property?
So they bought an apartment complex.
So we found an apartment complex. Yeah. Initially, it was a 24 one-bedroom units apartment complex in a nice area, and we decided to go to the city council, and they appropriated the money. They appropriated a little over $6 million for the purchase of the property. It's a property that the city owns now, so that's an asset for the city. So in addition to purchasing the property, we did the renovation to make sure the property was secured, so the women and the victims who were there would be safe. So we did that, and this year, 2 months ago, we opened it. We did the opening of the Honolulu Family Justice Center. We have 20 one-bedroom units available. It's very nice units. Every unit is air conditioned. They have stove. They have refrigerator, microwave in each unit, and each unit has a washer dryer.
Each unit inside.
Each unit.
Wow.
Yeah, so this is not your typical shelter. I mean, these are apartments that people stay at, and not just for your typical average shelter stay of 2 to 3 months. I mean, it's over 18 months, or
they can stay up to 2 years.
2 years,
wow.
up to 2 years, 24 months. And so this truly gives, because I used to do domestic violence cases before elder abuse. I did it for 12 years, and so I did thousands of domestic violence cases, and this truly gives the victim of domestic violence a break, an opportunity to break that cycle of violence they find themselves in with their abusive boyfriends or spouses, and to get them back on their feet. And when Keith was saying that it's a secure place, it's secure. I mean, they spend a lot of money to get like the fences up, to get the security up, to get the cameras up, to get security there. So a person that has come from a environment of fear, as often our domestic violence victims come from, they will finally find an oasis from the violence by being in this secure, nice building that's an actual apartment for themselves. So where they don't feel like they're hiding in a homeless shelter, but actually an apartment, and feel whole again, feel human again.
And no cost at all.
No cost,
No cost at
to
all.
them.
No
Yes,
cost.
and then what we'll do is we'll bring services, medical services, whatever services they need, counseling, employment, training, and at the end we'll find jobs for them.
Oh, nice. I was going to bring up, do you provide the educational piece?
Yes,
Wonderful.
education, whatever they need, we'll provide to them.
Well, we're here with Keith Kaneshiro, running again for prosecuting attorney, and Mr. Scott Spallina, the elder abuse attorney. So, Melissa, we're going to take a short break, but we're going to come back. We really want to talk about the core of your office, and one of the cores, besides the main, but really about elder abuse, some of the things we see going on in the state, and let alone in Honolulu, and really want to talk, and Scott can expound more on some of the preventative things that we can do, because we all know somebody's been scammed or abused, and it's really something that we need to really start protecting our seniors more. So we're going to take a short break. We'll be right back after this message.
Percy Ihara from Generations Radio. If you have any questions or want to be part of our discussion, give us a call at 296-5467. That's 296-5467. This is Generations Radio on AM 690 The Answer.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
Moon Physical Therapy is here to help you back to recovery. Moon Physical Therapy is located on Ward Avenue across from Sports Authority. Physician prescribed for motor vehicle accidents, workman's comp, or that body pain that comes from rushing to play without warming up. Also event cardiopulmonary rehabilitation with our one-on-one patient care. Moon's Aquatherapy heated endless pool allows for low-impact exercise with less pain on land. We will give you the right exercises to get you back to health. Ask your doctor to prescribe Moon Physical Therapy. Moon Physical Therapy. We achieve results.
Aloha, this is Martha Clopin.
And Al Harrington. Choosing the right Medicare plan not only saves you money, it also helps you avoid headaches and heartaches down the road.
We want to remind everyone
to listen to a Medicare Moment with Martha, Sundays from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we help answer important questions on Medicare so you can stay healthy, wealthy, and wise all year long.
Call me at 543-2073, 543-2073.
I was an addict from the age of 13. I finally decided it was time for a change. I walked into the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center, and that got me ready for the real world. Now, I choose to be guided by Jesus Christ, and today, I'm building a powerful and promising future, free from drugs and alcohol.
Please shop at the Salvation Army family stores. With our discounted sales, your support through your purchase helps men live a clean, sober, and productive life.
Got Vegas on your mind? Get Vacations Hawaii on the line. Vacations Hawaii offers weekly 4 and 5 night Honolulu to Vegas packages, which include 3 meals daily from $6.99. Stay at Hawaii's favorite casinos: California, Fremont, Main Street Station, and Orleans Hotel. Vacations Hawaii will get you there in comfort on deluxe wide-body 767 planes with complimentary in-flight hot meal service. Vacations Hawaii's frequent flyer program gives you future travel discounts and credits. So if you're ready to win big, call Vacations Hawaii at 591-4777 or visit PointVacationsHawaii.com.
Today, more than ever, we local people are living longer than any other state in the Union, with more seniors, baby boomers, and caregivers. Generations Radio promotes the importance to be proactive as we all age. The radio team will focus on issues facing our seniors and their families, finding resources to navigate healthy aging along with financial, legal, and caregiving information. So join Percy Ihara from 5 until 6 each Saturday, right here on AM 690 The Answer. Focusing on the issues facing our seniors and their families today. Here's our Generations Radio host, Percy Ihara.
And welcome back. As you know, we're from Saturday from 5 to 6, Sunday from 3 to 4. So if you guys see me playing softball, know I'm taping these shows. So thanks to my buddies, I was at a game last week and I was up to bat, and one of the guys on another team goes, "Hey, Percy, aren't you supposed to be at a radio show?" I said, "No, I tape the shows, but I'm glad you listen." He goes, "Yeah, well, my mom's in a care home, so I got to listen to your show." It's interesting. I'm 56. A lot of my buddies are my age. Some are a little older, but they're all dealing with this issue of care, and so like
caring for parents.
So your degree in gerontology is really helpful.
Yes.
Melissa?
Yeah. No, our target market is really the daughters of aging parents. And then, of course, it's usually it's the women. And then after that, it falls the brothers or the cousins. I met with a client and he is caring for his 93-year-old grandfather, taking on all the responsibility. In addition to, he has 3 small children. So, what do you call that generation? That's my generation taking care of
call him an angel.
Yes, that's true. He is. And you could see it is very stressful, especially having a newborn. But let me tell you, he gets up every morning and takes care of his grandfather.
Wow.
Every morning, bathing, toileting, making sure that he eats. Even though he doesn't want to eat, he does encourage a lot of water and nutrition.
Yeah. Well, like Keith, you're saying, it's just about giving back.
Yes.
Your parents took care of you. Maybe the grandparents took care of him. And it's just an obligation. But I'm worried about the millennials. You know, for us baby boomers and our parents, the greatest generation, is obligation to them. But I don't know about these millennials where they're going to say, well, Dad, I'm kind of busy right now.
Yeah.
Or,
well, that's why we have elder abuse, because some of these people are exploiting their grandparents or their parents.
Well, we're seeing a lot more elder abuse within the family. Isn't that right, Scott?
Yeah, well, that's the number one perpetrator of financial crimes against the elderly.
Is it really?
Yes, because they have access to the money, they have the trust, and unfortunately, a lot of children and grandchildren of our seniors don't feel it's stealing when they take money and possessions from their parents because they feel they are owed that.
Entitled.
The young generation has such a sense of entitlement. Yes. They don't want to work for what mom and dad have. They want it immediately. Yeah. And so that's why millennials do get a bad rap, because everything is instant gratification. That means taking shortcuts. That means stealing from mom and dad.
That's so true. So Keith, when you took office, 2010, I think you only had one attorney, elder abuse attorney.
I remember distinctly when Keith won.
Yeah,
and
Scott was there,
and I went down there to congratulate him to the campaign headquarters. And the first words out of his mouth, I went down to congratulate him. He says, "I'm expanding your unit." That's the first words out of Keith's mouth.
Because you're the only one, right?
Yes.
I know I met you before that.
And so now there's 3 other attorneys. So he tripled the team and adding 3 other experienced vertical prosecution attorneys. So I'm very grateful for that. And our numbers have increased since day one. I mean, by over 300% from 2008 to today. And so it's a good thing, and Keith doesn't know this, but probably in a couple of months I'll be asking for another attorney. Because
I know that.
You better pass Charter Amendment 3.
I know that. There's always a need to have more attorneys. With more attorneys, we can handle more cases.
Yes, exactly.
Well, it's just something, Roy. I mean, we talked earlier about how I had 2 relatives that were scammed, and I said, read the magazine, because the exact scam they got scammed with was what you call the grandma scam.
And you say read the magazine. We're obviously talking about Generations Magazine, which you allow us to write an article every issue about elder abuse. And so I encourage your listeners to go out there, find a free copy. It's there at the libraries. It's there at big city diners, Safeways, all that stuff, and look for my article. You don't have to read anybody else's article, but read my article, because it's about elder abuse. It's about preventing elder abuse. And this grandma scam, which many of your listeners already know about, is when someone calls in the middle of the night, a senior, saying that a loved one has had a tragedy, whether in the hospital, arrested, or whatever, and they need money to get out of that situation. And what that scam artist is trying to do is try to make the senior afraid, fear that they're going to lose somebody. And that's the typical MO of a scam artist, is to have you make an emotional decision about your money.
Well, the case I heard about was the person said it really sounded like my nephew.
No,
the voice sounded just like my nephew.
These scam artists are making millions upon millions of dollars by doing this. And so they're going to have their friends. I had this one lady call us up and say that she got a call in the middle of the night, and they said that, oh, your your grandson got arrested in Mexico. And she said, well, I want to hear him. And then so they put on another man, and all he did was cry. He didn't say any words, but he was like almost like a professional crier. And because it was in the middle of the night, the victim did not want to call the other family members or whatever. So then she went ahead and transferred the money to these gentlemen. And just coincidentally, the following day, the grandson just happened to call and just check up, hey, Grandma, how you doing? And the grandmother like really yelled at him saying, what were you doing getting arrested in Mexico and everything? It's like, I wasn't in Mexico, Mom, Grandma. And then she realized it was a scam. And that night, the scam artist called them again and to say, oh, he got rearrested. And then she knew, but they were trying to target her over and over again. And so that's one thing I encourage people to do is just verify. Just go out there, and if something happens, take the time to make sure through another loved one, like, is your son really in Mexico? Is your nephew really in this? Don't make emotional decisions about your money, or don't make a decision about your money when you're afraid, because that's what the scammers are trying to do, is make people afraid so that way they'll think before they act, or they'll act before they think.
Yeah, it's so rampant. And the other big one, another friend of ours, was the lottery thing where they won lottery, right? They say you won 50,000, but just give $50, and then you won 100,000, give us $500. And I had a situation where after the 7th time, they figured out it was a scam. Can you
7 times?
Personally, I'm gonna outdo you on that one there, because I get real estate agents calling me saying that they have a client that wants to sell their condo because they won the lottery, but they need the money from the sale of the condo to pay for the taxes and fees of their lottery winnings. And because they've been so brainwashed by these scam artists, and you're going to get $20 million, but the tax on that is like maybe $500,000. And so they'll say, okay, I'll sell my house, and then with the $20 million I'll be able to buy it back or buy 5 houses or whatever. And so these people are just preying on our poor seniors, and they're doing it through
over the phone. That's all they do.
Well, and also over the internet, through pamphlets, through mail. They're very sophisticated, and a lot of people say like, well, I'll be able to know what a scam artist looks like. No, you won't, because they are fooling professionals. They're fooling doctors. They're fooling lawyers. They're fooling accountants. I mean, these guys are so good. So that's why we tell victims of these crimes, do not feel embarrassed if you've been scammed. Please report it. There's nothing to be ashamed of, because these guys are so good. They're targeting everybody, and they're fooling a lot of people.
And most important, they're going door to door.
Yes.
So don't open the door.
Yeah.
And even when they come to my door and I don't open the door, I'll talk to them through the door and then ask them to go away.
Yeah, it's amazing. The one I was talking about 7 times to the lottery, this person was a retired principal. Yeah. You would think they would know, but she had early signs of dementia, we could tell. But it's just, how do you prevent that? Let's say they're living by themselves. The son comes over once a week. They'd have all day long to look through their mail and
that's the thing, and that's where we encourage the children to stay in constant communication with their parents. To basically maybe all it takes is a phone call at the end of the day, saying, "Hey, Mom, Dad, how'd it go today? Did anything unusual happen today?" Because
they're not going to tell you because it's a secret.
Or they might be embarrassed.
Yeah, they might be embarrassed, but you want to keep that communication going. And I've had adult daughters basically saying, "Oh, let's go through your mail together to weed out stuff like that," and they discover so much stuff. I've had 2 adult daughters call me up saying, "I discovered my dad got married to bar girls." And they did not know, but they're saying, "Dad, why are you paying this?"
Some of these bar girls are pretty good looking.
Well, hey. But they're saying, like, "Why are you paying this mortgage, or why are you paying these fees?" And then they'll say, "Oh, that's my wife. I met her. She was in trouble," or what like that. But without the daughter realizing that, going through the mail, helping out their fathers, because I mean, seniors are. I mean, sometimes you'll outlive your spouse, and we're all social creatures, so there's loneliness involved.
Sure.
And unfortunately, with the loneliness involved, that allows these seniors to maybe allow strangers into their life that ordinarily they wouldn't allow ordinarily. And so that's why you do get the romance scams. That's why you do get, oh yeah, sure, you can come in and demonstrate the vacuum cleaner to me, and then before you know it, they bought like $3,000-$4,000 vacuums, or you can come in and do this, and so they're inviting these perpetrators into their lives, and these perpetrators are taking advantage of them. That's the truly sad part about this.
But are we still seeing a lot of abuse in the care homes and nursing facilities?
We are, and you can tell that we're seeing a lot of abuse because there's a lot more private attorneys out there wanting to sue caregivers, wanting to sue care homes. And there would not be private attorneys trying to get into this market if there wasn't the market to begin with.
And we've gone to care homes and nursing homes and hospitals to give lectures and talk about elder abuse.
Yes, and also to say that, hey, not only is it for the patient that you should give the best care you can, but also now there's people out there, attorneys, and we're attorneys, so we know what attorneys are like, going out there and looking for reasons to sue a care home. And we're all in this room, we're all caregivers, we've been part-time caregivers, and we know how difficult it is to give care. Now imagine that extra pressure of saying, if I screw up, if my patient falls down and breaks a hip, I might get sued. So it makes a difficult situation of being a caregiver a lot more stressful as well.
Yeah. Melissa, you're talking about people going door to door. These are the unlicensed contractors, the guys trying to build the wall or trim the tree.
Canvas the hill, that's what we call it.
And surprisingly, that's illegal because it's unlicensed contracting.
So if you're a licensed contractor, you could do that?
You can go door to door. But if you're an unlicensed contractor and you're looking to do work over $1,000, then that is a Class C felony. And so you get all these people advertising on these websites. You get all these people going door to door or approaching people at these big box stores like Lowe's and Home Depot, just approaching seniors that maybe look overwhelmed by the selection, and they'll say, hey, I'm a plumber, I can do this for you for half the price, or oh, I can do this, I can do this. And oftentimes they might take the money and then leave, and then thinking to themselves, well, I didn't really have a contract, so maybe it's okay that they did this. But no, it is a crime. We encourage you to report it, because then we can work towards getting restitution for those victims.
Yeah, you put away somebody recently, right? That
we put away this individual named Alexander Nibre, and he was a serial perpetrator of seniors, and that he would go in and he just approached them, knock on the door saying, hey, it looks like you need a little bit of repair on your roof, because if you don't get it done now, it's going to fall on you, and you don't want that happening. Or, oh, it looks like you have some termite damage, wood rot, or whatever. He's a good talker, a pleasant-looking guy, like kind of local, very jovial and stuff like that. And he was scamming these people out of tens of thousands of dollars, and just not even doing the work. Or just maybe doing a little bit, like spray painting something, and say, okay, I need to go back and get more tools, or I need to go and rent some equipment. At the end of the day, the victims that we know about that have been reported was approximately 7 victims, and the total amount taken was $120,000.
Yeah,
doing nothing.
And the problem is, within our legal system, there's case law that says as long as they do a portion, some work, then you cannot prove the intent to defraud.
Really?
Yes.
So as long as they bring a spray can,
and
bring a shovel?
As long as they remove some rocks, or they do something with even though they didn't intend to finish the job, and then they leave and they never come back. The court says you cannot prove there's no intent to defraud because they've done some work.
But that's only for a licensed contractor. If they're an unlicensed contractor, does that still hold true?
Yeah, for a unlicensed contractor, the offense is unlicensed.
Yeah, so that's something that actually our office was instrumental. We worked with the Department of Commerce and Consumer Affairs to get that law enacted like several years ago, and it finally got passed a couple years ago. So it's another tool in our belt to help combat elder abuse.
So what are some of the tools that seniors can utilize? Let's say someone comes to the home or calls them. Are there any questions that you would recommend that they ask
Well,
I think the first thing they should have, if you have a parent that's living at home during the day, have an answering machine for the parent.
Yes.
And then tell the parent, don't answer any calls unless I am on the phone. And let the answering machine take all the messages. And then when the children come home, they can check the messages to see what happened. Because the thing is, what these scammers want to do is once they get the elder on the phone, they'll convince them.
They're good.
Yeah. So make sure your parents don't talk to any of the strangers.
Yeah, I
So
mean,
get an
people-
answer machine.
Yeah, I'm in seniors' homes almost every day, and it's amazing. I will be talking to them, and the phone rings. Oh, I gotta get the phone.
Yes. And when my phone rings, I just let the answer machine pick up. And because there's a lot of times that I've gotten the the IRS calls.
Okay. Yes, that means someone did a scam.
And this person, she left a message. She could barely even speak English. And then she gave a bogus number. She called back 2 times, and then, of course, I never heard from them. So let the answer machine pick up all your calls.
Sure, because they called me next.
Oh, yeah. Don't pick it up.
The IRS had how many calls that went over several weeks.
Mhm.
This is the IRS. We're thinking of filing a lawsuit. Can you please call us?
Absolutely.
I got that call too, by the way. Another call we were hearing about was the Social Security was calling to make sure that we had the correct number for your mother.
Yeah.
I had that. It was a well-known celebrity here. That person called me and said, does Social Security ever call to verify one's mother's number? I said, no. But the first question I said, how did he get your number? She called the child of the senior.
Right.
And how did they get that number? She said, I don't know, but it must be good.
Well, and that's it. I mean, there's so many tools that are available to
On the
anybody. There's this one website called Ancestry.com where you can look at your own family tree, but also you can look at anybody else's family tree. So you can find out. Yes, it doesn't limit you to just one family. You can look at anybody, and that's a tool that we've discovered that some criminals are using to say, okay, this person has adult children, so we can create a scam using the name of their adult children. One scam that hit our island last year was this older lady calling up these families saying, oh, your daughter missed her appointment at the doctor's, so we need to reschedule. But since I have you on your phone, can you verify some information about your daughter? Can you verify her social security number? Can you verify? So so it's a clever scam because it's so believable, thinking, okay, that's the doctor's office calling for my daughter. She missed it. And so, yeah, these scam artists are not fools. I mean, they're very clever. They have the tools out there, and they know how to use them.
So when they ask for money, but how do they ask for the money? They had this thing what's called a green dot or
Green
some
dot
kind of
card.
a
Yeah,
card.
and it's a charge card basically that you've seen gift cards. Basically,
Right.
that's what it is. It's a gift card that you go to usually your Walgreens or Walmart, and it's a credit card that it's usually by the cash register, and you can put money on it like a charge card. Like I want to put $200 on this charge card. Now what the scam artist will want you to do is to go to the supermarket and get one of these cards, and sometimes these scam artists will even have a taxi drive you there.
Really?
They'll keep you on the phone. We've had reports of keeping the victim on the phone and then having a taxi arrive at the home, having the taxi drive them to the nearest Walmart. Because again, you can just imagine the scam artists with their Google Maps, with their directory saying, hey, where's the nearest place we can send the senior? Then while on the phone, they'll say, okay, go to the cash register, ask for a green dot card, put $200 on the green dot card.
So they transfer them from their credit card or bring cash or something.
Yeah, and then
load that card up.
Load the
with
card
their
up with money or credit, and then you read the number on the back of the card, and instantly it's transferred.
Oh, wow.
That's all it takes.
So the perpetrator
will go on the Green Dot website, say, what's that number again on the back of your card? Fine. Okay, I got the money. And that's how easy
it's
it is.
instant, right?
Instant. I mean, it used to be that you'd have to go down and maybe wire the money with Western Union or something like that. Not anymore. Now it's just Green Dot card. So the technology meant to make our lives easier is also making the criminals' lives easier as well.
Well, I know with the Western Union, on the back of the form, there is a warning.
Right.
But our mutual friend of ours, their auntie went down there, and our friend followed the auntie, and right when he went to the counter, the guy took the money. and my friend said, "Wait a minute," told the cashier, "There's a warning on the back. Don't you want to warn the senior about my auntie about this?" He goes, "Well, she should know. It's right there on the form." But he didn't. He would have taken the money, even though.
Oh yeah.
It's just
well, because again, Western Union employees, oftentimes that's not their big thing. Is they're not like fraud prevention employees. They're there just to do a service. They get a cut of the money being transferred, and their job is to get as much as possible. So they're not going to go and question every customer saying, "Okay, are you sending this money out of country? Are you sending this as a result of winning a lottery? Are you?" And if the person says no or yes with that, they're still going to take that money.
It's crazy what's going on. So thank you for bringing these up. Now, Keith, we have a few more minutes. I want to talk about the other things. I saw you on the news again about the cruelty against animals. That's a great thing because I've had a dog for 12 years, or it was my second dog now. But I love to protect animals, and so what's going on with those cruelty cases?
When I came to the office, the prosecutor's office, in 2010, not much emphasis was placed on animal cruelty cases. I mean, the office was not really working with the Humane Society, and there were no investigation on animal cruelty. So, and I felt that animals need protection because animals can speak for themselves. So therefore, it was a priority of mine also. So we started doing a lot of animal cruelty case. We worked very closely with the Humane Society, with their investigators. We also had the police detectives work closely with the Humane Society, so the police will pick up and investigate some of these cases. And as a result, you see where there's a lot of cases being made. The last case, where you see about over 300 dogs.
Yeah. That was just like last week.
Yes. And the living conditions of dogs were awful. And no animals should live in that kind of condition. And some of these animals, the dogs, had disease, were sick, were infested with
mites,
ticks.
Do we have to increase the penalties for these?
I think at some point in time, I think we may. What we did was, we initially had a puppy mill case, in which the judge had given a very lenient sentence.
I remember that.
So as a result, we went back to the legislature and we say, in cases where usually it's one dog or one animal and each count, and it's a misdemeanor. In cases where it's 10 or more animals, then it becomes a felony. So we raise the penalties. So a lot of the puppy mill cases, you're looking at felonies. It's a felony to kill a pet animal and to torture a pet animal. It's also a felony to mistreat animals in the horrible conditions if it's 10 or more animals.
10 or more.
Yeah.
I mean, who needs why do they have 300 animals?
Right.
They raise it. A lot of
raising
people,
them?
yeah, they raise the animals and they sell them.
But they're in horrible conditions. They can't sell those animals, those dogs.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So, anyway, but there is also a link. I think you mentioned it once on the news. There's a link between cruelty to animals and domestic violence, and you said serial killers.
Right. Yes. The FBI did a study on serial killers, and what they found is all the serial killers started off being cruel to animals. So what we found that people who are usually cruel to animals are cruel to other people. And that's why it's important that we address them early on.
Wow. Well, that's a pretty scary thought. Hopefully we don't have any serial killers in Hawaii, but we know who to call, right?
We've had some. We've had some, and there have been some cases.
So anyway, Keith, congratulations. I mean, good luck there. We still have a couple more weeks to go, but we wish you all the luck. Thank you, Mrs.
Thank you very
Spallina.
much. Thank you, Percy.
Always good to have you on. Melissa, thank you very much.
Thank you.
We're going to enjoy this weekend. And then make sure you guys go vote, and you can go early voting as well.
With all those 20 amendments, yes to number 3. Yes to amendment number 3.
As long as you get to number 3, that's fine.
Listen, thank you very much, everybody. Have a great weekend. Aloha, and live well.
Thank you.